Marcus Reed slammed his notebook shut just as the classroom door burst open. "Late again." Professor Daniel Harper's voice cut through the room like a blade. Marcus froze halfway to his seat. Every eye turned. A few students snickered. "It won't happen again," Marcus said quietly. "That's what you said last time," Harper replied, adjusting his glasses. "At this level, excuses don't solve equations." More laughter. Marcus didn't respond. He walked to the back row and sat down, shoulders relaxed, expression unreadable. As usual. To them, he was invisible, or worse, an easy target. "All right," Harper continued, turning to the board. "Today, we separate those who think they understand mathematics from those who actually do." Chalk scraped against the board. Symbols began to appear. Dense, complex, intimidating. Even the top students leaned forward, frowning. Ethan Cole whispered, "What the hell is that?" "No idea," Jessica muttered. "We haven't even covered this." Marcus glanced up briefly, then looked back down at his notebook. Harper turned, a faint smirk on his lips. "This problem," he said, tapping the board, "was designed to challenge doctoral candidates. Let's see how you all measure up." Silence. "Anyone?" he asked. No hands. Harper scanned the room slowly. Then his gaze stopped. "Mr. Reed." A ripple of laughter spread instantly. Marcus didn't move. "I said, Mr. Reed," Harper repeated, louder this time. "Why don't you come up and give it a try?" Someone in the front row whispered, "This should be good." Another chuckled, "Man can barely speak now he's solving that." Marcus stood, not hurried, not hesitant, just calm. He walked toward the board, feeling the weight of every stare, every expectation pressing down on him. Harper stepped aside with a satisfied look. "Take your time," he said, though his tone suggested the opposite. "We wouldn't want you to embarrass yourself too quickly." More laughter. Marcus picked up the chalk. For a moment he just looked at the equation. The room held its breath, not in anticipation, but in second-hand embarrassment. Then he started writing. At first it looked simple, a few symbols, a small rearrangement. Ethan leaned back, smirking. "Yeah, he's lost." But Marcus didn't stop. His hand moved faster now. Lines connected, steps unfolded. The equation began to shift, evolve. Jessica's smile faded. "Wait." Harper's expression tightened slightly. Marcus erased a portion of the board and rewrote it differently, cleaner, sharper, deliberate. The murmurs in the room began to die down. "What is he doing?" someone whispered. "That's not even the method we learned." Marcus paused. He stared at the board for half a second, then continued. Faster now, more confident. The solution was taking shape, and it wasn't just correct. It was elegant. Harper stepped forward slightly, eyes narrowing. Marcus reached the final line. Then he stopped. Silence. He placed the chalk down gently and stepped back. No one spoke. No one laughed. The classroom, once filled with mockery, was now suffocatingly quiet. Ethan leaned forward. "No way." Jessica shook her head slowly. That's actually right." Harper didn't say anything. He walked up to the board, staring at Marcus's solution. His fingers traced the steps, line by line. His jaw tightened. Marcus waited. Not nervously, not proudly. Just waiting. Harper turned slowly. "Where?" he asked, his voice lower now. "Did you learn to do this?" Marcus met his gaze. "I didn't learn it here." A few students exchanged glances. "What do you mean?" Harper pressed. "I figured it out," Marcus said simply. A quiet scoff came from the side. "Yeah, right." Marcus didn't look at them. Harper turned back to the board, studying it again. Then he pointed to a section near the middle. "This step. This isn't standard." Marcus nodded. "The standard method takes longer." "And yours?" Harper asked. "It gets to the answer faster." Harper stared at him. For the first time, there was no arrogance in his eyes, only uncertainty. Marcus turned slightly. "Is that all?" The question hit harder than anyone expected. Ethan blinked. "Did he just?" Harper raised a hand, silencing the room. "No," he said after a moment, "it's not all." He picked up the chalk again. "If you're as capable as this suggests," he continued, writing a new, even more complex equation on the board, "then solve this." Gasps filled the room. "Is he serious?" Jessica whispered. "That's insane," Ethan said. "No one can solve that." Marcus looked at the new equation. His expression didn't change, but something behind his eyes did. A flicker, a challenge. Harper stepped back. "Go on," he said. "Show us." The tension in the room was thick now, no longer mocking, but electric. Marcus stepped forward again. This time, there was no laughter, no whispers, just silence. He picked up the chalk and began. Marcus didn't hesitate this time. The chalk touched the board, and within seconds he was already rewriting parts of the equation as if he could see through it. The class leaned forward. Even Ethan wasn't smiling anymore. "This is crazy," he muttered. Marcus moved with precision. No wasted motion, no second-guessing. Every line he wrote connected to the next, like pieces of a puzzle only he understood. Professor Harper folded his arms, watching closely now, not with amusement, but with focus. Marcus paused briefly, then crossed out an entire section of the equation. A soft gasp escaped from somewhere in the room. "He just erased half of it," Jessica whispered. "That's the only way to solve it," another student said quietly. Marcus continued. His pace increased, chalk tapping faster against the board. The equation that once looked impossible was now unfolding into something structured, controlled. Harper stepped closer. "Explain that step," he said suddenly. Marcus didn't turn. "It simplifies the function." "That's not a simplification method we've covered." Marcus nodded slightly. "It's not." A few students exchanged stunned looks. Ethan leaned forward. "Then how does he even know it?" Marcus finished another line, then spoke calmly. "There are multiple ways to approach a problem." Harper's eyes narrowed. "And you've mastered all of them?" Marcus finally turned his head slightly. "No." A pause. "I just look for the fastest one." The room fell silent again. Harper said nothing. Marcus turned back and continued. The final steps came quickly now. The structure was clear. The solution was close. Everyone could feel it. Jessica's voice dropped to a whisper. "He's actually going to solve it." Ethan shook his head in disbelief. "No way, no way," Marcus wrote the final line. Then he stepped back. Again, silence. But this time it felt different, heavier. The kind of silence that comes when something undeniable has just happened. Harper stared at the board, longer than before. His eyes moved slowly, carefully, checking every detail, step by step. The class watched him instead of Marcus now, waiting. Finally Harper spoke. "It's correct." The words landed like a shockwave. "No way," someone whispered. "That's impossible," another said. Ethan leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his hair. "He just solved something we're not even supposed to understand yet." Jessica didn't say anything. She was still staring at Marcus. Harper turned, slowly. The confidence in his posture was gone, replaced by something unfamiliar, respect, and something else. Regret. "What's your name?" he asked. A few students laughed nervously. "He's been in your class all semester." But Harper didn't react. Marcus answered anyway. "Marcus Reed." Harper nodded slowly as if committing it to memory this time. "Marcus," he repeated. Then he looked back at the board again. "You solved this faster than most graduate students I've taught." The room went still. Marcus didn't react. Harper stepped closer. Why haven't you participated in class? Marcus shrugged slightly. You never asked me to. A few students looked down. Ethan swallowed hard. Harper's jaw tightened. That's not an excuse. Marcus met his eyes. Neither is assuming I couldn't. That one hit. Hard. No one laughed this time. Harper exhaled slowly, then placed the chalk down. For the first time since the class began, he didn't seem in control. Class dismissed, he said abruptly. Confused murmurs filled the room. But we just started, someone began. Dismissed, Harper repeated. Chairs scraped as students began gathering their things, but no one rushed out. They kept looking at Marcus, whispering, pointing. Ethan stood up slowly, then walked toward him. Yo, he said, unsure of himself now. That was insane. Marcus picked up his notebook. It was just a problem. Just a man. No, it wasn't, Ethan said. Nobody could do that. Marcus didn't respond. Jessica approached next. Why didn't you ever say anything? Marcus looked at her. Would it have mattered? She hesitated. Didn't answer. Because she knew the truth. Probably not. As Marcus walked toward the door, the whispers followed him. But they had changed. No longer mocking. Now filled with awe. Did you see that step he did? I didn't even understand half of it. Who is he? Marcus stepped into the hallway, quiet again, just the way he liked it. But behind him, something had shifted. Inside that classroom, everything was different now, and Professor Harper knew it, because for the first time in years, he had been wrong. Marcus had almost reached the exit when a voice stopped him. Marcus, stay. It was Professor Harper. The hallway went quiet again. Students who had just stepped out slowed down, pretending to check their phones but clearly listening. Marcus turned, slowly. Harper stood at the classroom door, his expression unreadable. I'd like a word. Marcus hesitated for a second, then walked back. The room was nearly empty now. A few students lingered outside, watching through the glass. Harper closed the door behind them. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Harper exhaled. That method you used, he began, walking back toward the board. It's not something you stumble upon. Marcus leaned slightly against a desk. I didn't stumble. Harper nodded. Clearly. He looked at the equation again as if trying to understand not just the answer, but the mind behind it. Where did you study before this? He asked. Marcus shook his head. Nowhere special. That's not possible, Harper said, almost reflexively. Students don't just develop that level of intuition on their own. Marcus didn't respond immediately. Then he said, quietly, My mum used to bring home old textbooks. Harper turned. She worked night shifts cleaning offices, Marcus continued. One of the places was a university. Sometimes professors would throw out books, notes, research papers. Harper's expression shifted slightly. I read whatever I could, Marcus said. Didn't always understand it at first, but I kept trying. The room fell silent again, but this time it wasn't tense. It was heavy. Harper slowly walked closer. And no one ever noticed. Marcus gave a small shrug. People see what they expect to see. That line lingered in the air. Harper looked down briefly. For the first time, there was no defense in him. No pride. Just realization. I misjudged you, he said. Marcus didn't react. I built an entire assumption about you, Harper continued, his voice quieter now, without ever giving you a real chance. Marcus looked at him. It happens. But there was no bitterness in his tone, and somehow that made it worse. Harper nodded slowly. That doesn't make it right. A pause, then he asked, Why didn't you ever speak up? Prove them wrong sooner? Marcus thought for a moment, then he said, Because I wasn't here to prove anything to them. Harper held his gaze. "I'm here to learn," Marcus added, "not to perform." That hit deeper than anything else. Outside the classroom, Ethan and Jessica stood quietly. "Man," Ethan whispered, "we really had him all wrong." Jessica nodded slowly. "Not just wrong, completely blind." Inside, Harper stepped back, almost as if giving Marcus space, not physically, but mentally. "There's a mathematics fellowship program," he said after a moment, "highly selective. Only a handful of students get recommended each year." Marcus listened, but didn't interrupt. "I've never recommended a first-year student before," Harper continued, "but after what I saw today," he paused, "I'd like to nominate you." Marcus blinked once, not in shock, just processing. "That's not necessary," he said. Harper frowned slightly. "Not necessary?" Marcus shook his head. "I didn't solve that problem for recognition." "I know," Harper said. "That's exactly why you deserve it." Silence again. This time it wasn't heavy. It felt different, like something had shifted into place. Marcus looked at the board one last time, then back at Harper. "I'll think about it," he said. Harper nodded. "That's all I ask." Marcus picked up his notebook again. As he walked toward the door, Harper spoke once more. "Marcus!" He stopped. "I'm sorry." Marcus didn't turn around immediately. Then he said calmly, "Just don't do it to someone else." And with that, he walked out. The hallway felt brighter somehow, but the moment he stepped out, conversations exploded. "Marcus!" Ethan rushed over. "Hey, listen, man, I didn't mean all that stuff before." Marcus looked at him. Ethan scratched the back of his head. "I just didn't know." Marcus nodded once. "Now you do." Jessica stepped forward. "That was incredible, seriously." Marcus gave a small, polite nod. "Thanks." But he didn't stop walking, not out of arrogance, just focus. As he disappeared down the hallway, the whispers followed again, but this time they carried something new. Respect. That evening, Marcus sat alone at a small desk in his room. The same worn notebook lay open in front of him, pages filled with equations, ideas, patterns. He picked up his pen and continued where he left off, like nothing had changed, but everything had. Back in the classroom, Professor Harper stood alone, staring at the board. At the solution, Marcus had written, "Perfect, efficient, brilliant." He shook his head slightly, not in disbelief anymore, but in humility. "People see what they expect to see," he repeated quietly. Then he erased the board slowly, not out of frustration, but as if making room for something new. The next day, the classroom was full again, but the energy was different. Marcus walked in. This time, no one laughed. No one whispered. Ethan gave him a nod. Jessica smiled, and when Marcus took his usual seat in the back, Professor Harper looked up. "Good morning, Marcus." A simple sentence, but it meant everything. Marcus nodded. "Good morning." And for the first time, he wasn't invisible anymore. The lecture began, but this time, when Harper asked a question, "Can anyone solve this?" There was a pause. Then Marcus raised his hand. Not to prove anything, not to impress anyone, just because he had something to say, and that changed everything. If this story inspired you, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever been underestimated? Tell your story below, because sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one with the loudest mind.